So in this video, we're going to navigate around Figma in order to recreate assignment 1. And the purpose of this video is to, not necessarily trying to make this design better or enhancing the UX of it. We're simply just going to recreate it for those who have not used Figma before. And 2, the purpose of this video is to show or talk about components and variance instances. Those are the 3 terms that you will be keeping in mind when creating a design in the future to have a system, what we call a design system that designer use in order to keep their designs very organized if you're working collaboratively. And if you're redesigning certain things, it's good to reduce redundancy. For instance, in this assignment 1 here, we will be replicating this from week 2 for hierarchy. And I have already started just taking a picture of this. You can go ahead and right click, copy as PNG. Then I brought it into this file and replicated this, so you can see the time lapse for how I replicated this. talk about those definitions first. What are components? Components are a source of truth. They are elements that allow you to reuse in your app's web designs. So components are highlighted in purple, as you can see here. This is not a component, right? And components can be stored in assets. Once you create a component, you can easily reuse that design by going to assets and then just drag it out. And what you see here is no longer a component, but it's called an instance, and we'll go in more details about instances. But that is how designer can easily replicate instead of doing the copy and paste like this, which can make your organization's layers very messy and hard to work with. And let's say if you need to edit this design, which iteration will be very important for this class, you will not want to be touching the source of truth, the component. You want to be keeping that and just create instances or copies out of that component and edit. Okay. Another example for when to use component is that these things that I made has repetition. So instead of doing copy and paste, we can create components out of it and just reuse it if to change the name, to keep it consistent, the size and the color to be exactly the same. And that's why we use components. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so how would we create components? So after recreating that reference design there, this is not a component just yet. As you can see in my layer, I call it not component card. And in order to do so, you are going to this button right here. Let's say it's create component, and you are going to create a component. Now this card just got created. I'm going to undo it because I actually had already made that component right here. Within this component, you can create more components within it to keep things even more organized. It's really up to you to make your workflow more efficient, more productive, and reduce redundancies. So this area, I feel that I'm gonna probably be replicating a lot of this, so I went ahead and just select that. And if you select this area specifically, you'll notice that you can't really create another component out of it anymore because it's already a component. So what I end up doing is I would just select that and then copy it, then click somewhere else, I paste that out. Now it's no longer a component because it's not highlighted in purple. As you can see the comparison when you hover over it, this is component, it's purple. This is not a component, it's blue. Then I will just create a component from there. It's also important to note is that when you're recreating the reference image, right, the reference design or based on your sketch, you would want to start thinking about organizations. Like I group these three things in group so that they're always in group, so that it's easy to make a component because I know that these things go together as a group, and therefore it's better to keep it as a group to create a component. That's why it was easier instead of individually going in with each one and then selecting it and selecting that. So keep in mind layers, organization, grouping it, and naming that will be important. So that's components. Now, what are instances? I mentioned that already. Instances are copies of original component or the source of truth. So if you copy and paste the component, you will get an instance. So I'm going to demonstrate that real quick. I'm going to select this and literally just copy, go over here, paste it out, and that's an instance. Now, how do you know if it's an instance? I'm going to place it under instance here. The image shows right there. The component will have 4 diamonds or 4 square that is fully filled, and an instance will be unfilled. Same over here. That's an instance because this square is unfilled, and then the component or the source of truth has 4 squares with diamonds in them. That's how you're going to differentiate. So just by copy and paste the main component, you get an instance. You cannot edit an instance unless you click detach. So if I try to go in here and just move things around, it's just impossible. It's going to move the whole card. So I can delete things or adjust the name. And that's why we do create components, by the way, so that you can easily change things that are necessary. In this case, each person's name, mutual friends are different, but it keeps the style the same. So back to what I was saying. I forgot what I was saying. Okay. I was saying, oh yes, so you can't move anything in an instance. In order to edit this copy of the component, you're going to have to right click and you're going to have to say detach instance. That basically just detach this from being connected to the original component at all in order for you to move things around, right? And so for your iteration, you might find this helpful if you're redesigning assignment 1, right? You have to make 3 versions of it. So it might be helpful to create components and then adjust things to enhance the UX. That's just an example. So now you're just back to a normal design. There's no instance here. What's the third bullet point? If you delete the component on accident, you can select instance and click restore component. So I'm going to just delete this whole design. I want to create an instance once again to demonstrate what would happen if I delete the main component. So I'm going to select this and delete that. I believe that once I select the instance, there will be an option over here that said restore component, and it will automatically restores that. So that's the nice thing about it. And the last point is, if you can click on an instance and select go to main component. Okay, you can click, let's say you're just really deep in your design and there's so many different designs, more complicated than this. Where do I find the original component? Okay, I would select the instance and then you can say go to main component and it will take you to the original source. And I'm just gonna go ahead and bring my component over here next to the instance. What I want to show is if I were to edit the component, the source of truth is going to automatically also change the instance. Let me say this one is going to be 7, and this one is going to be 5, this one's going to be 4, right? So if you're editing, the source of truth is going to edit all of the instances. However, if I just manually edit the instance, it's not going to affect the component or any other instances. This is just individually edited, right? So that's why you can see it's good to have a component, because you might be using this card in multiple screens of your application and design, and it's just good to be able to edit in one place rather than going through each screens that has this card and edit manually while trying to maintain consistency. So we'll probably talk about variants very soon when we get to buttons, but probably not in this video. So I would encourage you to try to recreate your own components and instance for assignment 1, and I think if you can, even try it for assignment 2. I think in this you can try to make this whole thing a component. You can even try to make the buttons component, and then these buttons can be component. They're the same size, they can be easily replicated, so that all you have to change is the text in it, which is contacts or connect, right? And that's a great thing about components. You can make component out of this, and your instance can be blue or red